Hi, this is Angelique Villemay, Senior Lecturer at Aix-Marseille University. Our topic today will be planning a project for impact. Indeed, project management is an essential discipline in the modern business world, enabling the structuring, planning, execution, and the evaluation of various initiatives aimed at achieving specific objectives within set deadlines and budgets. However, today, the definition of project management can no longer be considered in isolation, without taking into account its impact on society, the environment, and stakeholders. Corporate social responsibility has become a key element to integrate into project management, whether for innovation projects or more traditional ones. The course Planning a Project for Impact aims to develop key transversal skills across three interconnected areas. First, it focuses on human and social skills, including effective communication, both written and oral, teamwork, facilitation, and ethical and sustainable thinking. Participants will learn how to collaborate constructively and manage group discussions while integrating social and environmental considerations into their projects. Second, the course emphasizes civic skills such as integrity, transparency, and adaptability. These are crucial for navigating complex and ever-changing environments while maintaining ethical decision-making. Finally, it strengthens impact evaluation skills by building the capacity to plan and organize projects with measurable outcomes. Students will also gain a deeper understanding of the Sustainable Development Goals and how to apply them meaningfully to their initiatives. Through this holistic approach, the course equips participants to lead impactful projects with responsibility, adaptability, and a commitment to creating positive change. The specific objectives of this course are to develop a structured approach to project planning, to equip students with methodologies such as theory of change and design thinking, to plan projects from conception to implementation while ensuring measurable impact, integrate ethical and sustainable thinking to encourage students to incorporate sustainability and ethical decision making into the core of their project design execution, to strengthen teamwork and facilitation skills by fostering collaboration and teaching students to work effectively in teams, facilitate discussions and moderate diverse perspectives, and align projects with global priorities by enhancing students' ability to link their initiatives with the Sustainable Development Goals. Understanding project management. First of all, what's a project? A project is unique, has a defined time frame, precise and measurable objectives, requires resources from limited means, is complex because it involves multiple stakeholders, and demands organization throughout the process. Indeed, according to AFNOR, the French Standardization Association, a project is defined and implemented to provide a solution to a need expressed by a user, a client, or a customer base, and it involves a set objective and actions to undertake with specific resources. Project management consists of forecasting and coordinating all the accompanying tasks from the preparation of the launch to the completion of the project. Since every project is unique, there's always an inherent level of uncertainty, making its management risky. As a result, dedicating time to project preparation and establishing measurable criteria regarding deadlines, cost, quality, and expected performance are critical conditions for success. Indeed, the earlier information is gathered during the preparatory stages, when the room for maneuver is greatest, the more time and effort can be saved downstream. The project is typically represented as a golden triangle, as we will see in the next slide, with key elements such as a cost, time, and quality performance. However, with increasing global challenges, climate change, social inequalities, stakeholder pressure, project management has evolved toward a more sustainable and responsible perspective. More and more companies are adopting a vision where project success is measured not only through financial metrics but also through its social and environmental impact. Integrating CSR into project management means rethinking processes by considering both stakeholder expectations, employees, clients, lawyer communities, shareholders, and the project's global impact. CSR integration is particularly evident in the context of responsible innovation projects. CSR pushes companies to rethink their development processes from research to commercialization. It's no longer just about creating innovative products or services, but about creating value that benefits society as a whole while minimizing environmental impact. In this way, project management becomes a key tool for aligning performance objectives with those of social responsibility. Here is the golden triangle I was talking about. So you can see here that a project manager has to balance the costs, the time, and the quality of the project while taking care of the risks, or taking into account the risks, and dealing with resources. Here are the 4 essential project management skills that you need to develop if you want to become an efficient project manager. First is exploring uncharted territories, because each project is new. So you don't want to be afraid of the unknown. Balancing priorities, of course, because you will see that you will have to manage new things, uncertainties. Then managing workload. Yes, we will learn to do that actually in this session. And meeting stakeholder expectations. And you have multiple stakeholder expectations, as we will see later. You need to know that a project has a life cycle. And as you can see in the illustration from Adams et al., this life cycle is composed of 4 stages. The first one, the definition, where you can set objectives, specification, task, and responsibilities. The second one, the development, where you will plan, you will establish timelines, budgets, resources, and you will manage the risks. The third one, the execution, actually, you will do the regular progress reports, you will implement changes, and you will control the quality of what's done. And the last one is the closure, where you will train the client if needed, you will transfer the documentation, you will release the resources, and of course you will learn the lessons that you have to learn. So a project has a beginning and a end. Integrating CSR into project management is very interesting to analyze, because the evolution of project management has led to a fundamental shift in how success is measured and achieved. For instance, traditional approach focus on efficiency and short-term profitability, primarily measuring success through meeting deadlines and budget constraints, maximizing return on investment, achieving technical specifications, minimizing operational costs, and satisfying immediate stakeholder demands. But when you integrate CSR, you change things. You change your perspective, because you consider social and environmental impacts alongside financial metrics, incorporating environmental impact assessments, community engagement and social benefits, long-term sustainability goals, ethical supply chain management, and stakeholder value creation beyond shareholders. By integrating CSR principles into project management, organizations can create a sustainable value while maintaining operational excellence. let's talk about the project typologies in the context of CSR. Actually, in this context, project management is no longer limited to traditional categories. CSR influences the way projects are defined, implemented, and monitored. Project typologies must therefore evolve to include dimensions beyond purely technical and economic aspects. Three main types of projects can be identified within a CSR framework. The first one is the traditional or standard projects. These projects remain focused on economic performance and meeting the immediate needs of clients or the organization. However, even within this framework, CSR integration can evolve, reducing environmental impacts or improving employee working conditions. Then you will find the responsible innovation projects. These projects go beyond process optimization and aim to introduce innovations that have a positive impact on society or the environment. For example, developing environmentally friendly products or implementing sustainable manufacturing processes. These projects require rethinking value chains to incorporate social and environmental criteria into strategies. And the third type of project in the context of CSR is the organizational transformation projects. These projects aim to reorient the entire organization towards sustainable performance. This may involve profound transformations in corporate culture, governance models, human resources management, or the integration of CSR into stakeholder relations. Innovation projects, in particular, play a crucial role in the transition toward a more sustainable and ethical society. As such, project management must not only meet traditional objectives, quality, cost, deadlines, but also address ethical and environmental imperatives, which are increasingly scrutinized by customers, regulators, and civil society. Managing a project means managing uncertainty. Nonlinearity, as described by authors such as Holland in 1995, is a fundamental characteristic of complex systems. It refers to situations where the relationships between causes and effects are neither proportional nor predictable. In other words, small variations in initial conditions can lead to radically different outcomes, as demonstrated by the MIT in 1963 through weather simulations illustrated by the concept of the butterfly effect. This phenomenon, where the flap of a butterfly's wings could theoretically trigger a storm thousands of kilometers away, highlights the sensitivity of nonlinear systems to initial changes. In project management, this non-linearity challenges traditional approaches based on fixed, linear plans. A minor adjustment, such as a small reallocation of resources or an unexpected external event, can have unforeseen and significant consequences for the entire project. Therefore, project managers must adopt an agile and flexible approach, monitor critical points where small decisions can have major impacts, and be prepared to manage uncertainties throughout the process. This involves incorporating regular feedback loops and favoring tools and methods suited for complex and dynamic environments. The theory of change is a strategic planning and evaluation methodology that helps individuals or organizations map out the steps necessary to achieve a specific long-term goal. It lays out the logical sequence of changes, outcomes, that lead from the project activities to the desired impact, while explicitly identifying the assumptions and risks that underpin the process. At its core, the theory of change answers the question, how and why do we believe our actions will lead to the change we want to see? So it provides a visual and narrative framework for identifying impact, so the ultimate change you want to achieve, outcomes, the intermediate results that must occur to achieve the desired impact, outputs, the immediate results of your activities, the concrete actions or interventions you plan to undertake, inputs, the resources required to implement these actions, and assumptions, the conditions or belief that must be hold true for your plan to succeed. So how is it relevant to impact project management? First, it clarifies the pathway to impact, because the theory of change provides a clear roadmap by linking actions to results through a logical chain. It helps project managers articulate how their activities are expected to produce measurable outcomes and, ultimately, meaningful change. Second, it identifies critical assumptions by explicitly stating the assumptions that underpin the project's success. The theory of change allows for risk assessment and the proactive development of mitigation strategies. Third, it enables evidence-based decision-making because it helps project managers evaluate whether the interventions are achieving the desired outcomes. If gaps emerge, it provides a structured way to adjust activities or assumptions based on real-world evidence. Fourth, it fosters stakeholder engagement because the collaborative nature of the theory of change development ensures that all stakeholders have a shared understanding of the project goals and the steps to achieve them. This builds trust, accountability, and alignment. Fifth, it promotes transparency and accountability. So the theory of change lays bare the logic of a project and makes its intended impact measurable. It ensures that progress can be tracked, evaluated, and reported to funders and stakeholders. And last but not least, sixth, it aligns with broader goals like the Sustainable Development Goals by linking project objectives to global frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals. The theory of change helps ensure that projects contribute to systemic long-term changes rather than isolated short-term results. Theory of change in practice. Imagine a project aimed at improving girls' access to education in rural areas. Impact would be increase in literacy rates among girls in rural communities. Outcomes would be families recognize the value of girls' education. Schools become accessible and safe for girls. Policies provide incentives for girls to attend schools. Outputs: awareness campaigns targeting parents, construction of school infrastructure, teacher training programs. Activities would be conduct workshops with parents, partner with local governments to build schools, develop gender-sensitive training for teachers. And the assumptions would be parents are willing to send their daughters to school if cultural barriers are addressed. Governments will allocate funding for infrastructure development. By laying out these components, the theory of change ensures that every activity is directly tied to measurable outcomes and meaningful impacts. Why should we use the theory of change in impact projects? Well, for managing impact-based projects, the theory of change is invaluable because it provides structure to complexity by breaking down a large goal into manageable steps. It encourages a system thinking approach, considering the interconnections between different outcomes. It aligns team members and stakeholders on common goals and expectations. And it builds a culture of learning and adaptation, ensuring that projects remain relevant and effective. And by using the theory of change impact, project managers can confidently navigate uncertainty, measure success, and create sustainable transformative change. Defining the project's objectives. The first essential step in project management is to define the objectives clearly. While it seems straightforward, vague objectives are one of the most common reasons for project failure. Therefore, before planning actions or allocating resources, it's crucial to understand exactly what the project is supposed to achieve. This begins with clarifying the request, it's important to ensure that all stakeholders are aligned on the project's purpose. It's necessary, it's advisable, to validate this understanding with the main stakeholders. It's also crucial to ensure that the project addresses a real need and aligns with the company's strategic priorities. Once the request is understood and validated, the next step is to set clear and measurable objectives. To achieve this, the SMART method is a key tool. Every objective should meet the following criteria. Be specific. The objective must be precise. It should not be vague, as a fuzzy goal is difficult to achieve. For example, improve performance is too vague, while increase customer satisfaction by 10% is specific and measurable. Measurable. Progress must be tracked. The key question to ask is, how will we know when the objective is achieved? For example, an objective like reduce costs should be measurable in percentage or a specific amount. Ambitious. Objectives should be challenging enough to stimulate innovation and performance, but also realistic. They must provide value and improve the current situation. Realistic. The objective must be achievable with the available resources, whether human, financial, or material. Time-bound. Each objective must have a clear deadline, which helps set a timeline and monitor project progress. A crucial point not to neglect is corporate social responsibility. Although CSR objectives are not always the main focus of every project, it's relevant to incorporate them when defining the project objectives, especially for projects with a high social and environmental impact. If the company has an established CSR policy, it should be integrated particularly by considering the Sustainable Development Goals, and this ensures that the project contributes to a balance between economic, social, and environmental challenges. Identifying stakeholders and their expectations. Once the objectives are set, it's essential to focus on the project's stakeholders, because understanding who these stakeholders are and what their expectations are is fundamental to project management. Indeed, these actors, whether internal or external to the company, can greatly influence the success of the project. So the main stakeholders are as follows. The steering committee. Well, this committee is composed of top decision makers, usually the executive board or management team, ensures the project stays aligned with the company strategy. They also validate key project milestones and make strategy decisions. Their expectations are pretty clear. This committee expects a project that aligns with the company's strategic directions. They ensure optimal resource allocation and expect the project to meet deadlines. The sponsor. Well, the sponsor is a key figure who actively supports the project manager. This support can be financial, strategic, or related to human resources. The sponsor ensures the project receives the necessary attention from senior management. The expectations are a well-managed project that meets objectives and aligns with the company's strategic vision. They also expect regular and transparent updates on the project's progress. The project manager. The project manager is responsible for the day-to-day management of the project. They coordinate the teams, ensure communication between stakeholders, and track project progress. They make tactical and operational decisions to ensure project success, and their expectations are clear objectives, support from stakeholders, and effective communication with team members. They must make quick decisions and handle unforeseen challenges. The project team. The project team consists of individuals directly involved in executing tasks. They are responsible for carrying out the actions according to the specifications defined in the planning. Good coordination among team members is key to ensuring project success. The expectations Well, each team member expects clear roles and responsibilities, a collaborative working environment, and adequate resources to perform their task. Once the objectives and stakeholders have been identified, it's essential to structure the project using formal tools that provide clarity, direction, and a systematic approach to managing the project. Among the most important of these tools is the project charter, which plays a pivotal role in formalizing the project's initiation. This document is crucial as it not only launches the project but also ensures that all stakeholders are aligned on the project's vision, scope, and expectations. By laying a solid foundation, the project charter helps to set the project on the right track from the outset. It should be considered as a living document, flexible enough to evolve as the project progresses. It serves as a guiding reference that keeps the team on track while also allowing for adjustments when necessary. The key elements for a comprehensive project charter include the project context that provides the foundation for understanding the project's background. It explains why the project is necessary, what problem it aims to solve, or what opportunity it seeks to capitalize on. This section should articulate the project's origin, whether it stems from a strategic business initiative, a customer request, or a legal obligation. By detailing the reason for the project's launch, this section ensures that all stakeholders understand the bigger picture and how the project aligns with broader organizational goals. Smart objectives. The Smart Objectives section is critical to the project's success. It ensures that all the goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And by using the SMART framework, the objectives are not only realistic but also provide a clear, trackable path forward with specific criteria for determining success. Project scope and boundaries. The project scope defines the boundaries of the project by specifying what will and will not be included. This is a crucial element because it sets clear expectations and minimizes the risk of scope creep, the gradual expansion of the project scope without proper adjustment in time, resources, or budget. And this section should describe the major deliverables, such as products, services, or outcomes that the project is expected to produce. It should also outline exclusions, i.e., what is out of the scope, which helps avoid confusion among stakeholders and prevents unrealistic expectations from emerging. Stakeholders and their roles. Clearly defining the stakeholders and their roles is another critical component of the project's charter. This ensures that each stakeholder's responsibilities are well understood, which helps to prevent misunderstandings and potential conflicts down the road. The roles should outline the level of involvement, expectations, and authority for each stakeholder, ensuring that everyone knows who to approach for specific issues. By identifying the roles upfront, it becomes easier to coordinate efforts and ensure that communication is clear, reducing the chances of overlap or missed responsibilities. Planning and risk management. I will add this now. The planning and risk management section covers both the timeline and the potential obstacle that might arise during the project. This part of the charter should include a project timeline, highlighting key milestones and deadlines. Milestones are significant checkpoints throughout the project that signal the completion of key phases, such as the completion of product design or the testing phase. Moreover, the risk management plan is equally important as it helps to identify, evaluate, and address potential risks before they become issues. So the risk management, as we will see at the end of the session, involves identifying risks such as delays, budget overruns, or technical challenges, assessing their likelihood and impact, and defining mitigation strategies to minimize their effects. And by identifying risks early in and developing a risk management plan, the project is better equipped to handle challenges that may rise. So the project charter is not only a document that officially kicks off the project, but also serves as the central reference for all stakeholders, and it brings clarity, direction, and organization to the project by outlining key objectives, defining roles, managing expectations, and anticipating risks. So while it is a foundational tool, it should also remain flexible, allowing for adjustments as the project evolves. As well, prepared project charter provides a clear roadmap, ensuring that all team members and stakeholders are aligned and working towards the same goal. The first step in project planning is defining the essential aspects of the project, which can be effectively achieved using the who, what, where, when, why model. This simple yet efficient method helps clarify the key components of a project, ensuring that all stakeholders are aligned from the very start. So who is involved or responsible? What needs to be done or achieved? Where will the project take place? When will it be done? And why is this project or action necessary? Answering these 5 questions helps define a project clearly, ensuring smooth organization and avoiding misunderstandings. This model serves as an excellent tool to structure both the thinking and planning process at the beginning of a project. Let's answer the question, what to do with the work breakdown structure, WBS. The first step in project planning is to break down the project into smaller, manageable tasks and subtasks. This clarifies the entire work to be done and helps identify the resources needed for each task. The WBS is a structural tool that aids in this breakdown by providing an overview of the project, making it easier to manage timelines, costs, and resources. WBS is a visual hierarchy, a graphic representation that divides the project into phases, subphases, and elementary tasks. Each level of the WBS represents a more detailed level, and each task should be small enough to be assigned, planned, and tracked easily. A good WBS allows for optimized resource and time management and helps avoid omissions during project execution. So how do we use the WBS? First, you have to identify the project's main deliverable. So start by clearly defining the overall goal of the project, which will be at the top of your WBS. So here the example, our main goal, the first level, is 20% carbon footprint reduction by 2026. Okay? Then the second step is divide into major phases. So divide into major phases, break the project into large phases, which represent key steps in completion of the project. So as you see, the second level here, analysis and diagnosis, action plan, implementation, monitoring, and continuous improvement. This is the major phases of the project. And then third phase, you have to subdivide the phases. Each phase is then broken down into more specific subtasks. So in green on the slide, you will see the third level are the subtasks. Okay, and the fourth step is to assign responsibilities and resources. For each subtask, specify who's responsible for execution, what resources are needed, and the associated timeline. But we won't do that here because we will use other tools to do that later. Okay, so let's answer the question, who will do it? And to do that, we will talk about three tools. The first one is responsibility breakdown structure, RBS. The second one is responsibility assignment matrix, RAM. And the third one is OBS, organizational breakdown structure. So it's crucial to clearly identify who's responsible for each task. The RBS allows responsibilities to be defined according to roles and levels within the organization. It's a tool that structures the project responsibilities by associating them with roles or departments within the organization. It clarifies who does what by organizing roles and clearly defining responsibilities for each task or deliverable. And its purpose is to ensure that every task has one or more clearly identified responsible persons to avoid confusion in management. So the responsibility assignment matrix is a tool for linking each task to the people responsible for its execution, ensuring that responsibilities are properly assigned and tracked. That matrix links each task of the project to one or more responsible individuals for its execution. And these tools ensure that roles and responsibilities are clearly assigned and allows tracking of who is involved in each task. And the way it is done, it's with this method. It is called the RESI. So the R is for the person who performs the task, the responsible. A, the person who approves or validates the task, the accountable. C, those consulted for information or advice, so consulted. And I, those who need to be informed of progress. So here we took the example of the reduction of carbon imprint. So for instance, the task is collect energy data. The responsible is the energy manager. The accountable, so the person who approves or validates the task, is the CSR project manager. Those consulted for information or advice are the energy supplier or energy suppliers, if they are different kind of energies in this company, I don't know. And the I is those who need to be informed of progress, and here is the steering committee. The OBS is a tool that describes the hierarchical and functional organization put in place to manage the project. It presents the different levels of the organization involved in the project and helps visualize the relationships between teams or departments. The three tools that I've just presented to answer the question who will do it kind of overlaps. Actually, the first two overlaps a little bit, but actually the RBS is used to structure a global project and define key roles from the start. It gives a macro view. So it's a good starting point. It helps understand who does what at a hierarchical or organizational level. For the operational stages of the project and to clarify the interactions and responsibilities for each task, the RESI, French accent, the RESI is more practical and functional. So, let's answer the question, when will it be done? To do so, we'll talk about three management tools. The first one is the CPM, Critical Path Method. The second one is the PERT, Program Evaluation Review Technique. And the third one is the Gantt chart. Time management is a key element in the success of a project. The execution schedule helps plan tasks over time, define their duration, and foresee dependencies between them. CPM and PERT are classic tools used to identify critical path and the flexibility available in the schedule. The Gantt chart is another commonly used tool for visualizing tasks over time and tracking their progress graphically. Let's talk about the CPM. So it identifies the essential tasks that determine the total duration of the project. The critical path consists of all the activities that have no margin for error. Delays on this task directly impact the project's completion date. So to do so, you will need to respect an order of steps. Let's see them. The first step is to identify tasks and dependencies. So you will list all tasks required to complete the project and determine the dependencies, so which task must be completed before others can start. The second step is create a network diagram. So you will represent tasks as nodes and dependencies as arrows or links, connecting them. The third task is estimate task durations. So assign a duration to each task based on available data. The fourth step is the forward pass. So you will start from the start and you go to the finish. So first, the earlier start is the earliest a task can start. And then you will also calculate the earliest finish. So it's the earlier start plus the task duration. So you will move forward through the network computing earliest start and earliest finish for all tasks. And then you will do the backward pass. And the backward pass, so you will start from the finish and you will go to the start, the beginning. So you will calculate the latest finish. So the latest a task can finish without delaying the project. So it is the minimum latest finish of successors. And then you will calculate the latest start. So this is the latest finish minus the task duration. And then you will move backward through the network, computing the latest finish and the latest start for all tasks. And once you have all these calculations, you will be able to calculate the slack. So the slack actually is the latest start minus the early start, or latest finish minus the earliest finish. So tasks with zero floats are on the critical path, okay? Which means that they cannot be delayed without affecting the project completion date. And the last step is to identify the critical path. So this is the longest sequence of tasks with zero float determines the project duration. Here is an example of a CSR CPM that we can do actually. So on the left side of the chart, you'll see the task, then the description, the duration, okay, of each task, and the predecessors. Actually, so it is very useful to do that kind of to make that kind of chart, because you can have it handy, and then you will use it actually to create your network diagram. So here the critical path consists of tasks where the earlier start equals the later starts, okay, meaning those that have no flexibility. The critical path is therefore A, B, D, E, F, H, I, J. The total duration is 67 days, so the tasks C and J have some flexibility and are not part of the critical path. So the PERT method uses a probabilistic approach to estimate task durations, taking into account uncertainties in their completion. It uses 3 estimates for each task. Optimistic, so best possible duration, pessimistic, worst possible duration, and most probable, most realistic duration. The estimated duration is calculated with the formula estimated duration equals optimistic duration plus 4 times most probable duration plus pessimistic, and the all divided by 6. And actually, this weighted average formula gives more importance to the most probable estimate while accounting for both best and worst case scenarios. This approach helps project managers create more realistic schedules by considering uncertainty and risks. And here is an example of the PERT method in a CSR project. So as you can see, you have a chart, the same kind of chart that I've presented before, but here you have the optimistic duration, the most likely duration, and the pessimistic duration. You have also the predecessors, because you will also be able to, if you want, illustrate through a network. And then you calculate, with all this information, you're able to calculate the expected durations. Okay? A Gantt chart is a visual project management tool that displays tasks along a horizontal timeline, making it easier to track progress and dependencies. Each task is represented by a horizontal bar or an equivalent whose length indicates its duration, with start and end dates clearly marked. The key features of a Gantt chart include the task dependencies showing how activities relate to each other, the progress bars indicating percentage of completion for each task, the resource allocation across different project phases, and milestones marking significant project achievement. Here we have an example of a Gantt chart with points instead of bars, but you can imagine bars if you want. So this project aims to analyze disparities in carbon emission within an engineering company using data from the BDAC and a TBS 2024. The goal is to detect potential inequalities, conduct a qualitative investigation, and propose corrective actions. So, teams and timelines. We have 6 tasks, 3 teams, and 6 weeks to do the job. So, you have the task precedence summary in the little chart, and in the Gantt chart, you will have presented the weeks at the top of the chart, the tasks on the left on the chart, and then how the tasks are displayed within the weeks. So this is very interesting, and actually if you use specific softwares to manage projects, you can actually do a lot more than just organizing the time. You can also organize your human resources, the budgets, a lot of things thanks to the Gantt application. It's very, very easy to manage and understand, and it's very valuable. So why is it important to monitor the budget? Well, monitoring the budget is the cornerstone of effective project management because it allows for complete control of financial resources that are scarce. So what do we do when we monitor the budget? Well, we proactively identify gaps between actual and planned expenditures. We anticipate financial risks and optimize resource allocation. We make strategic decisions based on concrete data, and we ensure exemplary financial governance with stakeholders. So, in the context of CSR projects, this budgetary rigor demonstrates our commitment for combining economic performance and positive impact. So, earned value management is a method integrating financial and task progress management and relies on three key indicators. The first is the planned value. So, the planned value represents the budgeted cost of work scheduled at a given point in time. It establishes a performance measurement baseline that helps project managers track progress against the original plan. The earned value is the actual value of tasks completed based on their progress. So it measures the authorized work physically completed, expressed in terms of the budget assigned to that work. It provides objective progress measurements by converting completed deliverables into their budgeted dollar value. This allows us to determine if we're ahead or behind schedule. And actual cost is the actual cost incurred to complete these tasks. So it reflects the total cost actually incurred in accomplishing work during a given period. So by comparing AC, actual cost, with EV, earned value, and PV, planned value, project managers can identify cost variances and forecast final costs. And these 3 points analysis enables data-driven decisions about corrective actions and provides early warning signals of potential budget overruns or schedule delays. So the cost variance equals the earned value minus the actual cost. The schedule variance equals the earned values minus the planned value, and the cost performance index equals the earned value divided by the actual costs. A rigorous monitoring of the project progress is essential to ensure that the objectives are met within the planned timelines and budget. This includes setting up monitoring tools, integrating CSR objectives, and maintaining regular communication with stakeholders. The classic tools we're going to use are the dashboards, because it allows a synthetic visualization of performance. It includes financial, time-related, and qualitative indicators. The KPIs, because it measures key performance indicators and identify discrepancies. The classic KPIs we can list are actual costs, earned value, customer satisfaction indicators, and we can also use CSR indicators like environmental indicators, the CO2 emissions avoided, waste reduction, energy savings, or the social indicators like job creation, employee satisfaction, diversity compliance, or economic factors like indicators like operational cost reduction through sustainable practices, for instance. Risk management is very important for project managers, and it can be handled through a risk matrix because it can help identify, assess, and prioritize project risks based on their impact and probability. This visual tool enables project managers to make informed decisions about risk mitigation strategies. Each level builds upon the previous one, starting with risk identification as the foundation. Technical, environmental, and organizational risk are documented, then evaluated for the likelihood and potential impact on project objectives, budget, and timeline. Risks are categorized from low, green, to critical, red, allowing focused attention on high-priority items. For effective risk management, teams should review these elements monthly and after any significant project changes, This proactive approach helps prevent issues before they impact project success. The project review and closure is a very important step because you will need to analyze your results, collect feedback, learn lessons, and evaluate the CSR impact. So, first, regarding the results, you will need to see if you met your goals. And to do that, you will need to look at the numbers and the overall outcomes. You will need to review if you stayed within your budgets and if you finished on time, delivered what you promised. Then you will need to collect feedback. So ask team members, stakeholders, and users what they think through surveys and meetings. Getting feedback from everyone helps to understand what worked well and what we can do better next time. Lesson learned. You should write down what you learned, including the challenges that you faced, the solution that worked well, and you need to keep track on these insights because it will help you for future projects. And then you will evaluate the CSR impact. So look at how well you met your social and environmental goals. Check how you helped the community reduce environmental impact and created value for stakeholders. Note both expected and unexpected results to improve future sustainability projects. Integrating CSR into project management is not just a trend, but a necessity for sustainable business practices and long-term success. I thank you very much for your attention. Here is the bibliography, and I wish you an excellent day. Thank you.